Welcome back. You're listening to Empowered Living, Life, the Truth, and Being Free. I'm your host, Steve Maraboli. For more information about A Better Today, our speeches, or programs, and seminars, please visit abettertoday.com or stevemaraboli.com. We're speaking with Dan Millman. He's the best-selling author of The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Dan's keynote speeches and seminars have influenced people from all walks of life and all ages, including leaders in the fields of health, psychology, education, business, politics, sports, entertainment, and the arts. Dan is here with us today. He's sharing his insights, stories, and timeless wisdom found in his books. Dan, I want to talk, if you don't mind, talk more about what you had said before we went to break. You had said you understand sometimes your thoughts are positive, sometimes they're negative, but they pass. So many people will focus their lives on their agreement with reality will just determine everything in their life, and going even beyond living the moment or living the day. So some people, Dan, aren't even living this decade. They're still angry because they got fired in 1994 and because he left me in 98 and because this one backstabbed me in 75. Dan, when people are stuck and they're caught in that rut and they come to you and you hear them speaking in a way that you know they're caught in that rut, what advice do you give them?
Steve, my old mentor Socrates once said to me, Dan, it's better to do what you need to do than not do it and have a good reason why you didn't. So many of us, as you say, do have good reasons. Well, I can't do this because I'm afraid or because when I was in the past I had this traumatic incident. Now, these things form explanations. They form rationale for why we want to or don't do anything. But life continues to come at us in waves. And well, let me just answer this in two ways, and it comes back to living in the present. Now, I'm not the first or the last one to talk about the power of living in the present moment. We have Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. We have Ram Dass, who long before me wrote Be Here Now. But in Way of the Peaceful Warrior and in the film, that reminder again comes up. Mark Twain once said, I've had many troubles in my life, most of which never happened. Because so many of our troubles, as you pointed out, are these things we remember from the past or we anticipate in the future. But in the present moment, there's only this awareness of what's going on, and we respond to it. I'll give you an example. Every 2 years or so, I meet with a group of people down in Costa Rica at a place called Pura Vida. It's not on my event schedule right now, but it will be because we're going to go again in 2009. I have a few trips before that time. But the reason I mention it, when we're down in Costa Rica, I teach seminars at this spa, but we also do other adventure things for those who want to do it. One of them is a zip line. Most people know that a zip line, you fly through the treetops about 90 feet above the ground through the rainforest down in Costa Rica on these wires, and you're attached to a harness, and you leap off these platforms, and just like Peter Pan or Superman, or Superwoman, you fly sometimes as much as 200 or 300 yards, huge, just zooming through the treetops. It's quite adventurous and a little scary for some people. And we do it 8 times in a row. It's not just once. Well, I was walking up to get to the first tower, and there was a woman next to me, in my group, and this was a huge spiral staircase, a wooden staircase going up and around this giant tree to get 90 feet up high to the first platform. And as we started walking up this platform, she said to me, we're just walking up the stairs, just starting up around, the spiral staircase. And she said, I'm so scared. And I said, well, why? Haven't you ever walked upstairs before? And she said, no, it's not the stairs. It's when I get up there, I'm going to have this thing. And I went, well, we're not up there. We're just walking upstairs. And she kind of shrugged and went, oh, okay. So she calmed down, and we were walking up the stairs. We finally got to the top of the platform. Now, we were way up there. They immediately hooked us in to the tree with a cable so you can't fall off the platform. And she said, now I'm really getting scared again because she was anticipating going off the thing. And I said, well, why? We're just standing here. The only way you can get hurt is to take off your helmet and bang your head against the tree. And she said, oh, well, I guess that's true. So we were just back to the present again, standing on the platform. Well, then a few moments later, she had her toes over the edge, looking down 90 feet down, way down to the floor, looking ahead of her, about to leap off, and I went to her, now you can be scared, because that's when it was appropriate, in the moment. But why be scared walking up the stairs or on the platform? And this is what we do so much in life. Anxieties about what might happen, this big meeting we're going to go to, or the test we're going to take, or the dentist appointment, or whatever it is, thinking ahead when in this moment it's just us sitting or driving a car or doing whatever we're doing. So that's the meaning, really, of that Mark Twain quote. We have many troubles, but most of them don't happen. In the present, we just have this thing going on, and we address it. And that's one way we can start to simplify our life. How many of us wake up in the morning, with, I have 50 things to do today. Well, actually, we don't have 50 things to do. We only have one thing to do, which is open our eyes, and then sit up, and then put our feet on the floor and get out of bed. And so my life is quite busy. I'm sure yours is, and most of your listeners' lives are busy. But my life has become much simpler when I've realized I can only do, really, one thing at a time. And so I just focus on what I'm doing in each moment. And I practice it. I train in the martial arts. I have. It's been a hobby of mine for years. And even if I'm fighting multiple opponents, I only have to deal with one at a time. Maybe one rapidly after another, but just one at a time. It's the same with juggling. Some of my seminars I teach, at my longer workshops, I teach people to juggle. And it's a good metaphor for life. We only have to deal with one thing at a time, even when we're juggling.
And the way that the things happen, you're absolutely right. Life, no matter what happens, it only comes to you one moment at a time.
Exactly.
And that's what you're created to be able to handle. You can handle one moment at a time.
Right. We just can't handle when we think everything's coming at us at once. And in our minds, it sometimes works that way. But when we just face this moment, it's more realistic. That's the thing. It's a realistic way to approach life. Life is a series of moments. I've never met anybody who's an intelligent person. I've only met people who have more intelligent moments. I've had some intelligent moments. I've also had some pretty stupid ones, where sometimes this, sometimes that. I've never met an enlightened being. I've met people who've had more enlightened moments who manifest that. So that's pretty empowering because we've all had enlightened moments. It's not about this permanent, stable place. You mentioned Byron Katie. I consider her one of the illumined teachers. But she would be the first to admit we have these different moments, and sometimes we resist, sometimes we go with the flow. And so to increase those moments is what our practice is about. It's not like one dramatic event and then everything is okay. It's more a matter of like a dimmer switch being turned up, or 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So it's important for people to be gentle with themselves. It takes time to embody what we learn, what we read, what we hear, what we experience. So we're looking for these dramatic things that turn everything around permanently, but really life is a constant creative experiment.
It's about refining, improving, evolving, and living.
It's
about living. It's not about existing. It's about living. And I think what you said earlier is really important when you were talking to the lady going up at the Pura Vida Spa. It's about seeing what is, not what you fear it to be. It's about being where you are, seeing that moment, and seeing for what it is. That saying that you see all over the place, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Just seeing what is, and not what your fears create it to be.
And in fact, the Zen masters call it suchness or isness. And most of us don't experience that very often because in the process of growing up, we develop these filters. Most of us do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. There's an old proverb, a Serbian proverb, that says 2 men looked out of prison bars. One saw mud, and the other saw stars. Depends where we're looking.
Right.
We tended to find where we're looking. And one was looking down, one was looking up. And both mud and stars exist, but where do we want to spend most of our time contemplating? What kind of world do we want to live in? This is something all of us can practice. It's not a matter of some deep esoteric knowledge. It takes years and years. It's just a practice